There's a new captain in New York, and his name is Aaron Judge. The Yankees named Judge as captain last Wednesday, making him the 16th captain in the franchise's history. The 30-year-old just signed a fresh 9-year contract with the Yankees worth an astonishing $360 million. It's the largest deal in the franchise's history, but it's worth it since the Yankees without Judge is hard to imagine. Stay tuned for more. First up, a shocking contract. There was a lot of pressure on the Yankees management earlier this month as their best and most popular player, Aaron Judge, entered free agency. Believe it or not, Brian Cashman and Yankees owner Hal Steinbrenner offered Judge a jaw-dropping 7-year contract worth almost $214 million last spring. And guess what he said? No. Yep, that's it. Aaron politely declined the contract and didn't even bother presenting a counteroffer. Cashman might have not wanted to chase him, but Hal needed Judge to stay on the side. He was willing to go the extra mile, and the 30-year-old knew that. He placed a bet on himself and ended up winning big. And we're all for the whole no player is bigger than the team thing. But let's not kid ourselves here. The Yankees needed Aaron more than he needed them. And we're guessing that's why they offered him a massive 9-year contract worth a crazy $360 million, the largest in the franchise's history. Now, Judge is known for being cold in negotiations, but it was enough to shock him into disbelief. $360 million plus captain? I was taken aback. You look at this list of individuals who have this title. It's such an honor. Cashman always knew they'd have to offer him a beefy contract as he reached free agency, but $360 million? That's a lot. Credit to Judge for placing a high-risk but well-calculated bet on himself. Brian is usually very emotionless in these situations, but since Steinbrenner was willing to chase their star player, it all seemed to have worked out. Next up, it was a valuable lesson for both sides. The Yankees might have won at the end, but Aaron was getting a lot of interest from some really good teams. The San Francisco Giants and San Diego Padres both put up some competitive offers, but it looks like Judge wanted to stick around. He was willing to consider offers, and prior to reaching free agency, the 30-year-old openly said he'd be looking at some other destinations as well. But deep down in his heart, he knew where he wanted to be, or at least that's what he said after getting a $360 million contract. Aaron also thinks the long negotiations and holdup were really valuable since they helped him come to a clear decision. Like we said before, he always knew where he wanted to be, but just needed that extra bit of convincing. And if you ask us, we think a lucrative contract like the one he signed would have been enough to convince any player out there. Plus, if we look at it from the Yankees' perspective, they needed this. Judge was on fire last season as he smashed a record-breaking 62 home runs, helping New York finish strong with 99 wins in the AL East. It took a lot of convincing though. Hal actually used to pull him aside and remind him how he is and will always be a Yankee. I told him, "You're not a free agent, you're a Yankee." And after signing a 9-year contract, he's going to have plenty of time to leave behind an unmatchable legacy in New York. Moving on, the next step was captaincy. Yankees manager Aaron Boone is also super pumped to have re-signed the superstar and thinks the decision was actually pretty straightforward. Sure, Cashman had his reservations along with a habit of being emotionless in negotiations, but there's no way they could have let him go. Boone worked as an analyst at ESPN when he first noticed Judge's leadership capabilities. He always found him to be really gentle and saw how everyone always wanted to be around him. And as he kept on proving himself on the field, he knew the next step was naturally captaincy. Boone also claimed the outfielder has developed a lot in the last couple of seasons, so as captain, he won't have a lot of trouble taking control of the team since the boys already look up to him. Yankees fans need to say a special thank you to Hal since he pretty much went all out to make him stay. Did you know he used to call him at 3 a.m. in the night only to convince him that he belongs with the Yankees? He used to ask him all sorts of things like what he and his family wanted, but every single time, Judge would hang up without giving him a clear answer. But we're glad he realized where he belongs since it's going to be a real treat to watch him take charge of New York and possibly lead them to a championship. The 30-year-old has poured his blood, sweat, and tears for the team, and winning gold would be extraordinary for the Yankees and his legacy. Moving on to some unfinished business. The fact that Aaron has some unfinished business in New York also played a huge role in making him stay. Despite being with the Yankees for almost a decade now, Judge still doesn't have a championship with the side. After being named captain, he told reporters how he intends to finish that business and help New York reignite their old ways of winning championships. It would be wrong to say the Yankees have struggled the past couple of seasons, but they weren't exactly on top either. It always felt like they needed something extra to bring it home. And after signing pitcher Carlos Rodon, Aaron thinks the team is super close to winning a championship now. Of course, course, it'll take some really exceptional captaincy since Rodon wasn't the only missing piece to the puzzle. But having him on the team will add a lot of value, and with the 30-year-old smashing home runs like they're nothing, we agree with him. The Yankees are close to a championship, but it'll need to be an all-round performance with the captain leading from the front. Believe it or not, the fact that he doesn't have a title in New York is actually the reason why he can't even imagine himself playing for another team. Like we said before, he received a lot of competitive offers from some really good teams, but leaving without a championship just didn't sit well with him. Following up, it was the best season in the history of the game. Aaron's performance in the 2022 season is undoubtedly the best in the history of the game after the league started testing for steroids. Not only did he hit a record-breaking 62 home runs, but he also saved the team from real embarrassment after they almost collapsed in the second half of the game. The numbers are just amazing. He's been hitting the ball and making bases like we've never seen before. After the All-Star break, Judge has battled with .329 along with a .785 slugging percentage and .502 on-base percentage. And if we're talking about the rest of the team, things get really embarrassing as the combined record resembles that of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Also, if we look at it in terms of the impact he has on the team, smashing 62 home runs isn't exactly a walk in the park. The team knows they have a guy who can hit them out of the park like they're nothing, and that's going to give them a lot of confidence. But it also means the rest of the team will have to play by his rules. And since he holds himself to such high standards, they'll have to grind hard to make the captain happy. At the end of the day, it was a tough decision, made easy by Judge. His performance was good enough to keep Hahn invested, and while Cashman is known for taking on the challenge of building teams from scratch, he couldn't work his magic this time around with Aaron winning the bargain. Up next, here's an impossible replacement. What would have happened if Cashman convinced Hahn to just let Aaron go? No $330 million contract, no re-signing, nothing. Since he said no to our first offer, let's show him who's boss and build a championship team from scratch. We know it sounds harsh, but trust us when we tell you this. Cashman is known for this, but the fact that it didn't happen is super beneficial for the Yankees, mainly because Judge would have been an impossible replacement. Without him on their side, New York would be nothing but an ordinary team, not to mention how they would have lost their identity since it was Aaron who put them on the map in the 2022 season. And we know baseball is not a one-man game, but the way he single-handedly won games is the very reason why the Yankees stayed and will stay relevant. Even if we put all that aside and just talk about it in simple terms, not only was it his best season, but he was also the best player of that season. Get it? Now think about it. How the Yankees would have looked if they didn't re-sign the best player of the season and let him go to the Giants or some other team. We see a championship in the future. It might not be the next season, but 3 to 4 years down the line, Judge will be in the Yankees Hall of Fame with the big boys. Last but not least, here's to a new start in 2023. Aaron Judge is just getting started. The Steamer projections forecast at least 42 home runs come off of his bat, and since he's still a Yankee, the Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles, and Rays are in for some big trouble. Like we said before, he's just 30 and has plenty of chances in the future to join the likes of Derek Jeter, Mickey Mantle, and Joe DiMaggio. We can't wait to see him dominate in 2023. That's a wrap for this video. Will Aaron Judge be able to make an impact as the 16th captain of the Yankees? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.